On last week, Joseph ended up being sold, all because he had on a coat of many colors and he was a dreamer. On this week, we're going to find out what happened to that dreamer. In today's lesson entitled God Rewards Obedience, we're going to see what happened to that dreamer. There are notes for this lesson. I'll leave a link in the description below. Click that link. I'll leave a link above my head. Click that link right now, right above my head. Get your notes and get your Bibles and your Sunday school books, for the Sunday school lesson is now in session. Join me. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Sunday School Lesson as taught by Pastor Rodney Jones, pastor of the New Nation Anointed Ministries, Church of God in Christ, 1700 West 87th Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60620, where we go over the International Sunday School Lesson, verse by verse, key words and key phrases. Welcome to you new subscribers and thank you for subscribing to this channel. If you would like to be notified each week as we upload our Sunday school lessons, make sure, if you can, hit that thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and then lastly, that bell notification, and click all. That way you'll be notified each week by YouTube, by your email. Bing! Brother Jones just uploaded another Sunday school lesson. You probably want to check it out and see what he's talking about. Thank you for this beginning of another series, which actually started on last week. On last week, we talked about Jacob having this special love for Joseph and then getting him this special coat of many colors. Oh, it was a discrepancy on whether or not Jacob was in order, but you all can't tell me that you would give the coat back. How many of y'all would give that coat back and tell your daddy, don't display that much love for you? As a matter of fact, many of us, the Lord has displayed his love through the gifts that he has given us. Oh, yeah. And we thank God that he has given us this gift, which is also a demonstration of his love. It's just not his love based on what we have already done. But I'm going to move on. We're going to bring that back up. Today we're talking about God rewards obedience. Now I'm not going to deal with the subject matter. You all know me. I believe in doing this lesson in such a way as a smorgasbord. That way everybody can grab something from the table. Genesis 41, 25 through 33, verses 37 through 40, and verses 50 through 52. This is September 13, 2020. This is the international lesson. And lastly, I will play the video clip of my brother again at the end. His instructions were to click the link below. Many were confused as to where is the link. I will leave that link in my comment section below where you see my name. It will be a pinned comment where I leave other ways of supporting this ministry. His link to the actual page he wants you to go to is there as well. Also, I will leave a link in the description section below. Sometimes it's an up arrow. Click it down, and you will be able to see all of the other information. Let's get into this lesson. So our scriptural history. Number one, Joseph was taken to Egypt when he was 17. That's Genesis 37:2. Number two, Joseph was sold to an Egyptian official named Potiphar. That's Genesis 37 and 36. Number three, Potiphar's wife, who was always trying to kick it with him. Y'all understand what I'm saying? She falsely accused him of trying to rape her, and that would be Genesis 39, 9 through 10. And because of that, and there was no questions asked the poor Hebrew man, he was thrown into prison, Genesis 39, 11 through 20. That's a message by itself. Joseph was in prison. Some say 2 years and some say 3. According to what I've seen so far, I'm going to stick with the 2 years. That would be Genesis 41 and 1. If you can show me that it's 3 years, please write it in the comment section below. I welcome all comments, whatever the case may be, unless it's some off the wall stuff, which I have to delete. Come on, y'all. Y'all know I'm not into all that other stuff. So let's just keep it clean. I know it's not the people of God. It's them other people. Pharaoh has his dream at the end of the full 2 years, the Bible said, Genesis 41 and 1. And Joseph is now 30 years old in this lesson. That's Genesis 41, 46. I skipped the fact that he was in prison and the butler and all of them had these dreams that he interpreted and they lied the whole 9 yards. We may or we may not talk about that. Phil Donahue used to say this is only a 1 hour show. Verse 25. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. So Pharaoh had 2 dreams of similar content that would be in verses 5. His spirit was troubled by them both, verse 8. He dreamed a dream, which normally means it was prophetic when it says he dreamed a dream. Same thing happened to Joseph, verses 15. Pharaoh was not a righteous king, yet the Lord showed himself or showed his move or his plans to him in a dream. I need the people of God stop saying God can use any clean vessel. God can use whatever he chooses to use. You don't believe it? Ask a man in the Old Testament when God caused the ass to open up his mouth and speak. Don't tell me the ass was a clean beast. Come on, somebody. Somebody say, get God out of the box. Stop keeping him in the box. So he called for the magicians and the wise men to interpret, but they could not interpret his dream in verses 8. It was then that the chief butler remembered Joseph interpreted his dream while he was in prison. Verse 12, Pharaoh sent for Joseph in prison, and they brought him hastily unto Pharaoh after he shaved his head and put on some more clothes. We won't talk about that. Verses 14. Joseph says, it is not in me, because he says, I heard that you can interpret dreams. Right off the bat, Joseph says, it is not in me. It's God that will give Pharaoh an answer of peace. Verse 16, because Pharaoh was disturbed at this dream, he says it's God who's going to give you the answer of peace. So Joseph informs Pharaoh that God is the interpreter of dreams. Joseph each time points Pharaoh to God. And Joseph told the butler that God is the interpreter of dreams. That would be Genesis 40 and 8. Point number 2, Joseph tells Pharaoh that the 2 dreams that he had were actually one, or they bore the same meaning. He informs Pharaoh that God has showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. Keep in mind, nowhere do you find where Pharaoh is a righteous judge or a righteous king or a righteous nothing. God is about to move in the land of Egypt. He shows the king of Egypt that he's getting ready to do it. God works through whom he will and uses who he wants. Although God has showed it unto Pharaoh, God will still use Joseph to interpret it. God don't give no one person know everything about nothing. Look at the word showed. It is a verb meaning to tell, to report, to make known, or to explain. This word is going to show up again, but it's going to bear a different meaning. God showed or made known his plans, but Pharaoh still could not understand them. I'm going to tell you why. 1 Corinthians 2, 14 and 15 says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto them, or unto him. Neither can he know them. He can't know them because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual, could be Joseph, judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. So my question to you all is, what is God about to do? A, will he cause the famine, Or B, will he save them from the famine by preparing them for the famine what is to come? And number C, how would God look good in this? How would he be glorified? Is God going to cause the famine, or is God going to provide the good stuff before the famine? What is going on in this situation? Let's open up the floor for discussion right down below. Tell me in your own words, what do you feel? What do you think? What are you getting out of this? Believe me, I read all the comments. Now, sometimes my phone does not notify me in a good time and I don't see it. And then when I look up, there are tons of comments. But believe me, I try to answer all of them. Yes, I do. So there were two dreams that Pharaoh had. Dream number one, 7 well-favored kine are fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed. The ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. Okay. Dream number 2, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. 7 thin ears and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. The 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And then really what happened is you couldn't see that they were full, the skinny ones, although they ate up the good ones. That's what took place in this lesson. Verses 26 and 27. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is 1. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. So Pharaoh's dream of the 7 good kine, another word for kine is cows, and 7 good ears or 7 good grains of corn were 7 years. It is believed that the cows were their agricultural and the prosperity of the Egyptians, which is why he would dream about the grain and the cow. If he was over in Israel, it would be about grain and cattle, or shall I say sheep, or herding, or goats. God knows how to give you a dream based on who you are and your walking life. Yeah, if it would have been, what's his name on the west side, he would have had dreams about fat Cadillacs and skinny Cadillacs. Jones, keep moving. If it had been musicians, it would have been an organ with less keys. Come on, somebody. God knows how to do it. So the number 7 is key because it meant 7 years in both of the dreams. 7 being applied to the harvest could mean a full, complete harvest. So this 7 years would be plenteous in harvesting time in Egypt. Now notice the word good is in the verses. This 7 good ears or heads of corn or grain was on one stalk is how he saw it in the dream, which is verse 5. Then 7 kine came up out of the river, fat fleshed. In the dream, that would be Genesis 41 and 2, and they fed in the meadow. That's Genesis 41 and 2 as well. And the word meadow means graze because the cows grazed among the marsh grass in Egypt, according to Pharaoh's dream. So what he saw in a dream, he saw these fat cows feeding or grazing in the field. They were fat flesh, which means they were healthy, they were fat. And these also, what he saw were kine. The kines, the word is kine, K-I-N-E, but it means a cow or even a heifer. Then he mentions the ears. It is a feminine noun referring to a head of grain. It refers to the ears of grain that grow from a stalk. Remember, we're looking at the King James. We're talking about cultural, so we've got to kind of break it down. What does it mean in today's term? So number 2, Joseph states that the 2 dreams were really one dream. Pharaoh had 2 dreams in one night. That's Genesis 41 verses 1 through 5. Point number 3, the 7 ill-favored cows or the kine, they came up after the 7 good cows or kine are 7 years as well. The 7 empty ears, or heads of grain, which were blasted with the east wind, will be the 7 years of famine that's going to take place. Verse 28, 29, 30, and 31. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. Notice, what God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land, and the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of the famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And what I love about Joseph is he's now about to break it down in such a way until Pharaoh will get a concise, precise understanding of what is about to take place. And verse 32 also says, and for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. I love this about Joseph because he always put God up front, foremost as number one. Yes, you said that I can interpret dreams, but I'm here to let you know that it's God that's going to allow me to interpret the dream. So Joseph says that this thing is what he told Pharaoh before. Well, he's going to really explain it, but he said this in verse 25. Joseph says there's coming 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. This plenty will not be an ordinary supply of grain, but an extra amount. It would be very plenteous. It would be good, or it would be even great. It would be unlike before. Both would. The greatness of it and then the famine. So this must be the move of God. Only he has the power over the earth. That's Psalm 24:1. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. God is the one that gives the increase. Yeah, that's 1 Corinthians 3:6. One plant and one water, but God is the one who gives the increase. And he is constantly putting God there because the Egyptians had many gods. They may have had a God of light and darkness, a God of water, a God of rain, a God of this, but he's letting them know that this God is above and over all of you all's gods. And as Joseph is put up, then so is Joseph's God put up. Following this great plenty, 7 years will be 7 years of famine. The Bible says that they shall arise. Famines usually arise. Now, this is a warning to Pharaoh of what is about to take place in Egypt. There will be a famine not like any famine you have ever seen, because even in the dream, Pharaoh said that the dream that he had, what he saw, was not like anything that he had ever seen before. And the word famine refers to a general and acute failure of crops. It is a serious shortage of food and or of water. And usually if there's a shortage of water, there is going to be a shortage of food. So the plenty shall be forgotten. This famine would be so devastating that it would cause them to forget the past. There will be no remembrance of the good old days of the plenteous because of what is going on. So regardless of how good you are to people, you can treat them wrong one time and they will forever forget how good you were. They forget everything you've done for them, all because of that one thing. This famine, he's saying, is going to be the same way. He uses the word forgotten. It is a verb meaning to forget, or it indicates that something has been lost to the memory, or a period of time has softened the memory of it. This famine is going to be so bad until there really won't be no remembrance of the good famine or the good crops that they have been receiving prior to this. This is going to be a pandemic technically in their life. There won't be no remembrance of what took place prior to this, because that's how bad it's going to be. So the famine is going to consume the land, and the word consume means to destroy, to devastate, to wipe out, or to complete. which means to completely destroy the cattle, the crop, or whatever the case may be. The famine would be so bad that the plenty will not be known. He uses the word known here, which is actually for the word forgotten again. So the famine would be so great until the people would forget that there was plenty in the land prior to the famine. And the famine, he says, would be grievous, or it would be heavy. The reason Pharaoh's dream was doubled was due to the fact that it was God showing him in a dream what he was going to do shortly. Notice Joseph says God is going to bring it to pass shortly. The Egyptians had many gods, but this God of Joseph was going to do a work unlike any other work of their gods that they believed in. So point number 9, Joseph says that the dream was double because it was from God. It shows the urgency of what is about to take place, and it needs some attention to right now. It shows that this dream is prophetic because it is from God, and God is the one that sent the dream. God is the one who interprets the dream, and God is the one who will bring things or cause them to come to pass in this dream. Everything points to God, including Joseph. And I love that preachers, he doesn't take the credit. He gives all glory to God. And that's what we need to do. I said this in the message that I preached on Sunday, and many may or may not agree with it. I'm not the leader. Don't follow me as I follow Christ. I am not the perfect example. God is the perfect example, and Jesus is the leader. My job was to lead you to Christ. Once you get to Christ, it's between you and Christ. Come on, stop looking at me. Look unto him who is the author and the finisher of our soul, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame. I didn't shed my blood for you, but he did. Don't look to me, look to him. The song says, oh, I want to see him, look upon his face, there to sing forever of his saving grace. I'm going to stop right there. Verse 33. Home at last, cares are past. Verse 33 says, now therefore, let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land. Not the house, not just the court, but set him over the land of Egypt. That's got to be God speaking through brother Joseph, because Joseph, you're going to end up being the man. Come on, somebody. If my grandmama was here, she would say, come on, somebody. Mother Van would say, oh, glory. First, Joseph interprets the dream of Pharaoh. He broke down and interpreted the entire dream. Pharaoh at this point is very clear of the whole dream. His mind and heart may be placed at ease from the disturbance of the dream because God gave him the peace of the dream. Number 2, then Joseph gives wise advice to Pharaoh as to what he should do. Joseph says, since God has given you this dream to tell you what he is about to do, you need to do something with this information. You need to prepare now for the famine that is to come, because it's coming. Point number 3. Joseph now instructs Pharaoh as to his first step to getting a hold of the situation. A, you need to appoint a man over this situation now. B, this man would be over the land of Egypt. C, this would make him second in command. He won't be the king, but he would be the governor. He would be responsible for saving this entire country, because if Joseph had not showed up on the scene, then that country probably would have been died out. It probably would have been died out. Yeah, I said it. And before I take it back, I'll add more to it. Point number 4, Joseph says Pharaoh should look out a man discreet and wise. The word discreet is a verb meaning to discern, to perceive, to observe, to pay attention to be intelligent. And the word wise means skilled or experienced. Set the man who can discern what to do and is skillful enough to do it. Oh, this boy good. He good. He good. Point number 6, Pharaoh needs someone who not only knows what to do, but how and when to do it. This man would be very important because an entire nation would be in his very hands. Other nations or people would come and buy from Egypt, including Israel, including Jacob, including his children in them. Verse 37 and verse 38, it says, "And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of God is?" Capital S for Spirit, and yes, capital G for God, because he was referencing the real God, because he was talking about the God of Joseph. Pharaoh shows he is a man of wisdom as well by making a wise move in this selection. The thing stated by Joseph was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and all his servants. These are my notes. I know it sounds like I'm reading my notes, and I am reading my notes, some of them. Pharaoh questions his servants as to whether they can find a better person for the job. Y'all understand when I say question, it's a rhetorical question. A man such as this in whom the Spirit of God is. Pharaoh can see that Joseph has the Spirit of God because he interpreted the dream after saying that the dream came from God. He also stated that God is the interpreter of dreams, Genesis 41:16. And Pharaoh's wise men were not wise enough to interpret his dreams, Genesis 41:15. But Joseph, this Hebrew slave, was. 39 and 40. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as God hath showed, there's that word, thee all this, there was none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Key word, watch that. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. The Amplified Version says, "You shall have charge over my house, and all my people shall be governed according to your word with," watch this, "reverence, submission, and obedience." That's that word for rule. We're going to come back. "Only in matters of the throne will I be greater than you are." He placed him over everything, including the land we'll see in this lesson. Oh my God, what hit me. News from heaven is Potiphar and Potiphar's wife are now under Joseph. Later, they're going to holler, bow the knee. That means Potiphar and Potiphar's wife, when they see Joseph, the one who they accused, they're going to have to bow before this Hebrew man. Pharaoh recognizes the wisdom of Joseph in interpreting his dreams by God. Pharaoh exercises wisdom in selecting Joseph for the task. Pharaoh says, "Since God showed you all this, none is so discreet and wise as you." This word "showed" is different from the word "showed" when it came to Pharaoh. Showed here is a verb meaning to know, to learn, to perceive, to discern, to experience. Experience, yes. This is different from the word "showed" in verse 25, which Joseph says that God has showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. Showed in verse 25 means to tell, to report, to make known, or to explain. So God showed or reported to Pharaoh what he was about to do, but he caused Joseph to perceive it or discern or understand it, which is more detailed. Pharaoh sets Joseph over his entire house, including his household and in Egypt. All the people of Pharaoh would now be ruled by Joseph, the Hebrew. Ruled is a verb meaning to kiss or to touch lightly. The people would literally submit, reverence, and bow down to Joseph, possibly kiss his ring. I don't know. The only place where Pharaoh would be greater than Joseph is on the throne. The people were commanded to bow their knees in Genesis 41 and 43. Joseph is actually given citizenship into Egypt and a new name, Genesis 41, 44 through 45. His name is Zaphnath Paaneah. Zaphnath Paaneah. Wow! Pharaoh gave Joseph his ring, his chain, and vestures. There is that robe again. That's Genesis 41 and 42. He went from wearing a robe of many colors to wearing a vesture or a special linen cloth garment that the whole entire world of Egypt could see. He made Joseph ride in the second chariot, which he had for his second in command. That's Genesis 41 and 43. Joseph is now given another visible demonstration. He went from coat of many colors to a vesture. Verses 50, 51, and 52. And unto Joseph were born two sons before the years of famine came, which Aseneth, the daughter of Pharaoh, priest of On, bore unto him. Sometimes you just got to slow down. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh. Oh, that was easy. For God said, He hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim. For God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Now Joseph is given his wife by Pharaoh before the famine came. Genesis 41, 45. The wife is the daughter of Pharaoh, which is the priest of On. Not important at this point. Joseph and his wife has two sons before the famine came. He names the firstborn Manasseh, which means to forget. He says, God has caused me to forget my toil and my father's house. He could mean what his brothers did unto him. Yet when he calls him, it reminds him, but God has caused him to forget it so that he does not use it against him. I'm going to say this. I taught a 6-week course about forgive, be healed, and be delivered. Yes, it was about forgiveness. First of all, forgiveness is from the heart, and forgiveness is a free choice. You have to decide from the heart to forgive. Number 2, to forget is of the heart. It is a free will as well. You have to choose to forget. Yes, you can forget in such a way until you won't even remember it. There are many things in life that we have forgotten about, but oftentimes, I'm saying this to somebody, oftentimes we choose to not forget. We said, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget. You chose not to forget, but you don't want God to remember all the hell that we took God through, but we want to hold it on. I'm going to move on. Oh my God. Because Joseph could have, when he ultimately met up with his brothers, he could have used that as an opportunity to do some things. But because of his son Manasseh, he remembered that God calls me to forget some things. He said, God have made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And then he named the second one the Ephraim, which means fruitful in the land of my affliction. Rather than Joseph dying in the land of affliction, he will become fruitful. Joseph is naming his sons, understanding that God is prospering him. And Joseph refused to allow what his brothers did keep him locked up and bound. What Joseph did was name his sons based on the blessing that God did. Oh yes, he went from hell all the way to the top of the mountain. He went from dungeon to prison to wherever, to where he is now, because the Bible said the Lord's hand was on Joseph that he prospered. Listen, if you want to be prosperous in life, make sure that the hand of the Lord is upon you. How do I do that? By obeying God. Just do what God tells us to do. And there is a special love for the people of God, all because he said, if you love me, keep my commandment. If you love me, I and my Father, Jesus says, will manifest ourselves in him. That's a special love. I'm saying that to somebody. Somebody needed to hear that right about now, because many of you are in the same spot where Joseph was. But I need to let you know that God is the one that pulled Joseph out. Joseph did not understand many things that he had gone through. He didn't really understand what his brothers was doing. He didn't understand the special love that his father would give him, this coat of many colors. He didn't really understand that the dreams that he would do would cause his brothers to be jealous. But I need to let you know that the brothers got jealous of him, put him in a hole, and sold him to men that was going to Egypt, which is where God wanted him to be. There's no coincidence that those men were coming by to get him out that hole, to get him into Egypt so that he can be where he is today. So that when Pharaoh had this dream, Joseph would be in prison already ready for Pharaoh to pull him up, pull him out, put a ring on him, put his gold necklace on him, the chain, and put his vesture on him, put him in second command, and tell Potiphar and Potiphar's wife and everybody else, bow your knee to this Hebrew. And that Hebrew actually represents the house of God. Oh, come on, somebody. I feel it now. But I'm going to stop. I want you to hear my brother's video. I'm going to leave the description or the link that he refers to. I'm going to leave it in the comment section below. I'm going to leave it in the description link below as well. Remember just one thing, to share this, because someone's life may be impacted by this video that you are sharing. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up if you like this. And thank you. If you want to support this ministry, I'll leave a link right here as well. The Cash App would be the $ Rodney Jones 519, or you can do the Givelify to the church. When you go to Givelify.com, it's New Nation Anointed Ministries, COGIC, and you will see my picture there. I thank all of you who have been sending cards of love and donations, and to the Givelify, whatever the case may be. You are the ones that's responsible for helping the Rodney Jones Sunday School move even further in the Lord. And we're going to roll the video of Larry Jones' stock up in 5, 4, 3, cue video 1.
First, I'd like to thank Rodney Jones Sunday School for this opportunity, but he felt that it was important that you know this. Hear these words. The greatest transfer of wealth in your entire lifetime, your parents' entire lifetime, and your grandparents' entire lifetime is taking place right now. Over the next 10 years, there's going to be the greatest transfer of wealth ever. You know, the Bible says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. We are the just people of God. So the reason I'm talking about this is that I've been investing since 2008. During the recession. When the recession happened, financially, it was one of the best years of my life. So we're in that environment right now, and there's a lot of money being made. But I want you to understand that the language was created to keep you out of the market. I've taken it and simplified it, and I've provided about 7 different lessons that explain them all in bite-sized pieces, about 12 minutes a piece, where you understand everything, and I literally show you how to open up a trading account, a brokerage account, right? So what you want to do, and it sounds, a brokerage account is like a bank account. They make it sound so grandiose, but it's really simple. But if you click the link below that will be provided, I want you to hit the subscribe button and that notification bell, and just know that in a few days, I'm going to post the most important video that I have ever done on finances. I can tell you that in 2 weeks, I took my stimulus check and my wife's stimulus check. In 2 weeks, I tripled it, right? Those are the type of run-ups that are happening right now. And that's the type of money that people are making. I've been doubling down on some stock and making a lot of money. And it's your turn. I want you to eat this information up. I've made it very easy to understand. I broke down through all of the technical jargon, and I just want us to come up financially, start building wealth right now. All right. And so you want to do that, click the link below. And I just want to thank my brother, Rodney Jones, again for this opportunity. And you guys, people of God, you be blessed.